There are many different servant speaker aspects throughout the film of When the Game Stands Tall. But there's one, but today I will be talking to you about the servant speaker aspect of the fruits of the Spirit. Now, there are many fruits of the Spirit. There are kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, love, joy, peace, and patience. Now, there are three that are especially prevalent throughout the movie. The first is kindness, the second is love, and the third is patience. So let's touch on kindness real quick. Kindness was shown by one servant speaker in particular multiple times throughout the film, and it was the coach. The coach showed kindness to his players the first time, especially when the players lost the 151 game win streak that De La Salle had. Instead of yelling at his players and cussing at them and getting angry, he showed kindness by being more concerned for their well-being and how they were going to proceed with their lives after they have broken the streak. The second time that the coach displayed a servant speaker aspect of kindness is when he had to attend a funeral of one of his former players. Now, what he did there was he got up and spoke and talked to and was able to share all of the wonderful attributes that he saw within the grieving family's child, and was able to lay out all of the wonderful memories that he had of this kid and how their child had affected him. This was a great kindness to the family, giving them a peace of mind on that they raised a good and faithful child. Next, the next servant speaker aspect of the fruits of the Spirit is love. Now, it may not be love in the traditional sense, but sometimes it is. Love in this movie is shown first of all in brotherly love between two specific people. The servant speaker in this example is the former De La Salle player Kelly, and then this interaction was with his best friend Cam. Cam's mother had just died, and he was in a depressed and he was shutting himself off from the world. But Kelly showed his brotherly love to Cam by not giving up on him, encouraging him despite all of Cam's doubts and negative attitude. He encouraged him to continue on with their dreams of playing for Michigan, and they had been dreaming about that since they were children, and he shouldn't give up on that. The second time that love is shown in the movie When the Game Stands Tall is throughout the team interactions. Now, there are many times that the team doesn't get along, they fight, they get angry at each other, but the team in the end shows love to each other by bonding and trusting each other and becoming a very cohesive group, even though they started out in a very rocky area. The final servant speaker who displayed love is coach again. The coach showed love to his players by trying to instill a sense of a relationship with the Lord. He loved the Lord enough, and he loved his players enough that he wanted the relationship he had with the Lord to also be a thing that is shared with his players. All right. Next is patience. Patience was not always shown throughout this movie, but there are a couple times when certain servant speakers stood out. The first servant speaker group that that stood out was the team. Now the team, as I had mentioned before, fought, argued, didn't get along, discriminated against each other, but even with all that going on throughout the time, they still showed enough patience to not quit and to not give up on each other or the coaching staff, or themselves for that matter. They continued pushing on and through their own doubts, showing a lot of patience with each other. The second group in this movie that showed a lot of patience is the coaching staff. The coaching staff had it very hard off because their team was falling apart. The townspeople blamed them for this the streak being destroyed, and so did the school. They had to deal with these things, they had to deal with the team, and they had to deal with their own problems. But they showed incredible patience by sticking with the negative people who accused them and the team who didn't even want their help at some points. They showed patience by still encouraging them, going to practice every day, and showing faith that they will try to make them as best they can. Now, these are certain servant speaker qualities that are very incorporated throughout the movie. And these qualities of the fruits of the Spirit reminds us that whenever things are getting tough or a streak gets broken or you're down in the dumps, you never give up and you never stop showing those God-given servant speaker qualities stop shining through you.